Good afternoon, friends. SICKI welcomes you to an interactive session where you can address queries related to internationalization with our go-to-market experts. Good afternoon. I'm Purnima, a board director at SICKI and your host today. I would like to introduce to you about our partner, KNAV. KNAV is a 20-plus-year-old global professional services firm having presence in India, US, Canada, UK, and the Netherlands. With over 600 plus active clients, it offers a full range of India support services, right from market research, entry strategy, identifying suitable business partners, business setup valuation assurance, tax and regulatory, corporate finance, and business advisory services. KNAV has partnered with SICKI, where they provide expert advice to SICKI members in their internationalization queries. I also request all of you, if you have not been a member of SICKI, I'm sure you are members, please, inform your other friends, your contacts, those who have not been SICKI members, because we do a lot of regular such events. Despite of the COVID, we're doing a lot of online webinars, clinics to help our members to reach the right partners. Today we have with us Mr. Himanshu Godra, Director KNAV Expertise Advisory Services. Himanshu has proven expertise and experience in supporting foreign multinationals in entering and growing business in India, right from identification of high-value business opportunities, preparing and executing a strategic roadmap, both organic and inorganic routes, to commencement of actual business operation. I think Mr. Nadeem Khan has also joined, right?
Yes.
The Corporate Secretarial Services. Nadeem is a practicing company secretary at KNAV who leads the Corporate Secretarial Advisory Services. With over 5 years of experience, Nadeem leads the legal advisory and compliances services related to the company law and non-litigation matters. He's an associate member of the Institute of Company Secretaries of India and a law graduate from Mumbai Universities. He has also been a part of a lot of M&A takeover deals and corporate restructuring over the last few years. He has also been assisting the Indian and foreign clients for structuring and setting up their business entities in India. We will have a different format today because it's quite a very closed door interactive session. We will not ask the speakers to give a speech or a lengthy thing. We'll directly jump into Q&A and something very interesting questions from the audience. Also from the SICKI SME Center, we have Deepa and Durga who shall address any queries on the available government grants for their business setup or to go international or go to market strategy. Singapore government has a lot of available grants for the SME industry, which is not known by the general members. So I would like to check now directly with our audience. You can introduce yourself, tell about your company, and directly ask questions to Mr. Nadeem or Mr. Himanshu or to our SME Center ladies. Yeah. So who would like to start?
I can go.
Yeah, please go ahead. Introduce yourself, tell about your company. Also, I would request if you could, tell more about your company and then come to your question.
Yes. So thank you so much for inviting me on this call as well. A lot of known faces. So that's nice.
Nice background, and I remember you.
Yeah.
Landscape.
Yes, I'm Raji Aya. I'm a landscape architect by profession and a nature connector by passion. That's what I say. And we are into landscape biophilic products, which are patented. We recently patented in Singapore as well, and patented in India. And we also do landscape architecture consultancy services. We've been doing this for the last 23 years. And I've been moving around the globe, but we've been having a presence in India for the last 22, 23 years. Okay, so, and the funny part is I joined this session because I recently found out there is something called a COR, I've been paying TDS for every payment that transferred from India, and I never knew that I had to just get a certificate of residency in Singapore because there's a dual taxation between the two countries. And the 10% TDS, even though I have a PAN card of my business in Singapore, it's called Living Products Private Limited. I have a PAN card, and I never knew that I didn't have to pay, the clients don't have to pay, cut the 10% TDS rather when they make me the payments. And now the 10% TDS for so many years has gone into some black hole, which I cannot recover. So I was interested in joining this call to understand, is there something like this that we should be aware when we do businesses in India, staying in Singapore? And is there any other way also to work a bit more efficiently and effectively between the two countries? Now, at the moment, just to explain, Living Products Private Limited is established in Singapore. And I have another sole proprietorship in India called Deep Roots Design. So they're two separate. I'm the owner and founder for both, but they're not branch offices, so to say. So is there an advantage in calling them as branch offices? What are the pros and cons? So those are the kind of questions I want to know, how we can work effectively when you have a presence in both the countries.
So thank you very much, Ms. Lakshmi. One thing I just want to mention that in today's session, so we have Nadeem, who's expertise more on setting up business in India and more from a compliance perspective, and I have expertise more from business perspective. We don't have anyone from tax team yet, so that was my understanding for this session. That this session we are not talking too much on tax part, TDS part. So any questions which we have on a TDS tax part, we can always have a separate discussion. We can involve one of our tax team member, and we can take it ahead. So that instead of we going round and round and we tell you something which is not accurate, so it's better it is coming from our tax team than us. Nadeem, in case if you have from your experience, if you want to share anything on that part, please feel free to add.
So Himanshu, so like it would be always better to have someone from our tax team to address this question.
That's fine. So that that is part one of my question. Part two of my question was, when you have businesses in two places, you're talking about compliance, right? Is there any other way of combining the two businesses, or better to keep them separate? How should they work most effectively between the, now that you all understand the, how the two countries work compliance wise or setting up business wise? What is an ideal way to do things?
So what you're talking about, the two business, one you have a business in Singapore, other you're talking about you have entity in India, right?
Yeah.
So are you saying the Indian entity is a subsidiary of your like foreign entity?
No, not yet.
It's completely different.
No, it's completely separate. Yeah. We file taxes there and everything is there. Yeah.
And who is the ultimate beneficiary owner? Like who is
Me.
you? Okay, you.
Yeah.
So eventually there also, we need to understand more from what kind of business activities both companies are doing. So take an example, and what is your long-term strategy? So in case which you are saying that your Singapore entity and the Indian entity both are doing the same line in the same line of business, and tomorrow if you are also taking certain advantage of your Singapore expertise. So in the end, the whole objective of your Indian entity, you are saying you want to make profit. And if you want to take that profit from India to Singapore, what is the right structure? Now, if in that matter, if assuming, and there also when you're taking that profit from India to your Singapore entity or in the country, in that case, for this cash repatriation, there are different strategies involved. There are different methodologies involved. Now, assuming that from a Singapore perspective, you are providing some kind of expertise, some kind of specialization, or some kind of consulting to your Indian entity. In that case, you can always charge as a royalty fee, which will again, will have less tax duty on it.
Okay.
So we need to understand from that perspective how, and assuming, okay, you're saying whatever money I'm making in India, I want to keep it in India only. So that's a different story. So we need to understand what is the business objective of both Singapore entity and Indian entity, and then accordingly we can have a right structure.
Okay.
So so there are a couple of variables involved, and as I said, even in this particular aspect, tax will play important role, and certain again from regulatory compliance perspective, Nadeem can share his experience. But from my experience, I have found, that is the, every business is driven by certain goals and objectives. So let's start from macro and then go to micro level.
Okay.
Yeah. Nadeem, anything from your side?
No, nothing, Himanshu. I think you have covered really very well.
Yeah.
Yeah, one more thing, Himanshuji, if I may add, Raji, since you are a Singapore registered company, your auditor, right, will be 100% the right person to address the tax and the COR issues. That's what my auditor does, because he knows those rules. So I think, and it doesn't matter because the other in India is a proprietary firm and this is your registered in Singapore. Auditor should be able to help you in that matter.
I'll tell you one very recent example. We have supported one Singapore company from your line of business. So they are also into landscaping. And what we have done for them, we have set up a subsidiary, a subsidiary of the parent company in India.
Okay.
And they also, these things, I believe we can have separate discussion because a couple of things will again play important part, whether it's a permanent establishment, whether it's related to transfer pricing and all. So many, again, it all depends upon the scale of operation.
Okay.
So right now, I know what kind of business you are doing, but I have a less information in terms of the revenue which you are making in Singapore, the Indian entity revenue which you are making in India. In terms of, again, from PE perspective, what is the mode of operation? So my suggestion is that maybe anytime in the coming days, we can have a separate discussion with our tax team and we can explore these possible points.
Okay, no worries. Thank you so much for your answers.
Thank you, Raji. Yeah, Mr. Milind.
Yeah, hi. My name is Milind Pappu. I'm a consultant and my domain is medical device industry. I fit into the same situation as Miss Rajalakshmi. I get all my income come from India. They do TDS. But when I file my returns in Singapore, I get because of the thanks to double taxation treaty, whatever TDS has been deducted, which they call it some form 16. I don't know whatever form is there.
Yeah.
I have to submit it and I get a set off against that. But I would like to know is that I had earlier a separate company in India with a PAN number, but I was not sure about what is the benefit or the advantages or disadvantages of setting up a branch office or subsidiary or setting up a company. Because I felt that once you set up a company, I have to comply with many things in India, filing tax return, GST return, this return, that returns, And I realized that income and the amount of time I spent in India wasn't really worth it. So I wanted to know, is it really necessary for a Singapore-based company to set up an operation in India, or better to pay 10% TDS and use the double taxation benefit?
So again, there are pros and cons in both cases. So take an example, many times when companies are looking to do business in India, first step is companies enter India through indirect presence. So they have maybe some distributor, agents, importers, and through them they do business. The next step, what they do, or parallelly what they can do, they always set up a license office, which is not I've not seen very much relevant in most cases. But the objective of this license office is to do a marketing activities. You are not entering into any transaction in India. You are just acting as a postman between the business activities in India and like Singapore. So you are nothing but eyes and ears for your business in India. Then the third is you're having a permanent establishment or your entity in India. There also you can have either private limited or you can have LLP. And these things will again depends upon the type of business which you are doing, because what happens that when you're talking about private limited, many structured company eventually which would like to take a loan from bank, or they have a global structure, they go for a private limited entity setup. But at the same time, companies with certain flexibility in terms of your compliance and all, they will go for LLP structure. So maybe what I will do, I will share a brief note between private limited and LLP to all participants today. So you get certain, maybe comparison. Coming back to having a PAN, because this is something is required to do business in India, but that will also come with certain compliances. So on PAN requirement, maybe the name you can, recently we had a similar inquiry from a German company client, which they were also talking. Maybe you can share your experience and which are the do's and don'ts which Milind should consider.
So hi Milind. So first of all, about the PAN card of an individual, speaking about an individual who is a non-resident of India. So for obtaining the PAN card of a foreign national, the first and foremost requirement is that he should have at least a proof of residence along with the identity proof in the country outside India. Suppose if you are working from Singapore, then you will have to submit certain documents to the NSDL department. So here the issue of PAN card authority has been delegated to a certain department called NSDL. So to that we will have to submit documents which will be required to be duly apostilled and notarized. So there is a process called apostille, if any documents which are required to be executed outside India. So those documents are required to be apostilled in the Indian embassy located in that country. And then those documents are required then to be submitted to the NSDL department in India, and they will then verify the documents and check the authenticity of the documents if those are accurate. And then within 7 to working days, if everything goes well, they issue the PAN card to the foreign nationals as well.
Then coming back to your main question that whether we should have a PAN card or not, again it's a business decision. Because if you don't have PAN card, there is a direct, the tax will be deducted as a withholding. And if you are having a PAN card, the tax component would be less. Certainly, it comes with compliance, and there also I will tell you today, in terms of doing business in India, is not that complicated. You can always have a competent, service provider who can help you doing all these things. But in the end, you need to see in which case I'm taking more, having more effective operation or saving money, having a PAN card or not having a PAN card. Compliance part, as a fee perspective, you can always leave it to third party, and which is not very difficult, which is not very complicated, which it used to be. So this is something which is again a business decision from your side. But here again, I will say that everything again what you want to do in India in next 3 years, 4 years, 5 years down the line, and it is always better to have a more structured approach rather than doing things in an unstructured manner.
Understand. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Deepa here, the business advisor from SME Center. I'll just add on to Mr. Milind's question. Anyway, Ms. Rajalakshmi, it's nice to see you virtually. We spoke on the call. I hope you're doing good.
That's right.
Okay.
All good.
So, great. So, I think most of you here do have a Singapore company, right? So we have this grant called the Market Readiness Assistance, which is the MRA grant. So Mr. Milind, Mr. Rajalakshmi, and maybe Mr. Riaz and Ruby, I'm not so sure whether do you know about this MRA grant. Okay, just on a nutshell, I'll share, because that's not Mr. Milind did raise a very good question, was, is there a necessity to have an office, a subsidiary office or representative office in any of the countries, be it now for India? So, Mr. Milind, I will tell you, it's not really required, because it's really like what Mr. Himanshu added on. It's more of your business goals, whether you want to have an office there or a sales office there. Okay, it's depending. And if you feel that, okay, I don't really need to have a subsidiary or a representative office there, you can look at franchise or joint venture if you happen to have those opportunities. So maybe Mr. Himanshu and Mr. Nadim can maybe share with the rest of them, like if they want to have a franchise model or maybe they have a joint venture opportunity, what are the things for them to maybe take note, especially in the context of India? Okay, and then that's one thing, because for this MRA grant, I'm not so sure, Mr. Himanshu and Nadim, just to share with you on this grant, do you mind if I just share the screen?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, sorry, I just have a sorry, just got hang on. Just give me a moment, guys. So sorry about it. Okay. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so just Mr. Imanshu and from Mr. Nadim's context, okay, this is the grant that I'm actually sharing about, which is called the Market Readiness Assistance for any of the businesses in Singapore if they want to tap into venturing out of Singapore. It could be any market, okay? So this grant is actually divided into 3 areas. Okay, so one of which is the market setup. So like for Mr. Milian or Ms. Rajalakshmi, for the rest of them, if they want to actually venture into India, okay, so definitely a market setup will be the main important thing, right? You know, to have a presence. But if in the event, right, they don't want to have an office, that's where they can go into like what Mr. Imanshu mentioned, maybe your distributors, your agents, or even joint venture partners. So maybe later just share with us a bit more context. So how do we go about, or what are the things they can take note? Okay, so the next part is the marketing promotion. Maybe you don't really need to have a presence there. Before you go in, you may just engage like a PR agency or a marketing agency to see really whether that particular market is the ideal one for you. Okay, to do all the test, because now with COVID, they are not able to travel back and forth. So you can actually engage a marketing consultant in India or PR agency to do the marketing promotion for you. So that's where this amount 20K is being kept. Okay, and lastly is the business development. This is quite interesting because once you have done this first step, market setup, once you have a presence in India, and you feel that, okay, Deepa, you know what, I can't be traveling back and forth. Can I place someone down there to run for me the business development? Yes, you can. Okay, so the salary of one permanent business development staff will be covered for you. Okay, so it could be a Singaporean PR, a EP holder, or even a local from the country itself. Okay, but just to take note, the salary, the quantum for EP holders will be 60%, whereas for the Singaporean PR or local, it will be 80%. And another thing that will be supportable is the rental. Maybe there might be a space that you're going to take an office space, for example, or a co-working space, okay, or even a Soho. Yeah, I'm not so sure whether in India, I think definitely would have a Soho, right? Soho. So that is also covered for 1 year. So salary and rental for 1 year will be covered. So maybe Mr. Imanshu and Mr. Nadine, this could be something new to you. So this is the grants that we're actually sharing with our business SMEs owners in Singapore who wants to venture. So maybe in this line, can you give them some advice, especially in the model of franchise and joint venture? What are the things maybe they need to take note of? Whether is there a lot of potential for them if they become to join into a franchisee or a joint venture? Maybe I also would want to learn from you on that.
Right.
Just 1 second. Sorry to interrupt, Deepa. This is very interesting, and I think, if Mr. Himanshu doesn't know about this, this will really help because, you can get more clients where they really need to fork out the fees from their pocket, but, getting this fees to connect to your company. But before we go into depth, because one of our participant has to leave early, so maybe we take her first and then we delve into this topic more deeper.
No problem. That's
because she has some other assignment. So Ms. Bhuvi, you can go ahead, introduce yourself, ask the question.
Sure. Thank you so much, Purima. I'm so sorry, everyone, that I'm cutting in just to thank you for accommodating me because I really got to leave. I have session at 3:45. So I just want to quickly check. So I am Bhuvi. I have 2 businesses in Singapore. One is a private limited. It's a business for good, which is Solace Arts Psychotherapy. Second one is a sole proprietorship. Basically, it's offering handmade greeting cards. But it's not the usual typical greeting card. My greeting cards are quite different. This is my website. Basically, I would like to expand this business, the card, handmade greeting card business, to actually in India. And I would like to actually offer making it into a social enterprise. I would like to actually offer to maybe a specific group of people who can actually create the card. Training will be provided by me, of course. And then to create this card and then to kind of target it to European market. So that is the plan. But I want the business to be based in India to make it a social enterprise. So that's the main idea. It's already existing business in Singapore. We are already doing overseas orders now here in Singapore. Currently, it's on hold because I don't have enough people to support me. And my main priority is now Solace Arts Psychotherapy. Just to quickly let you know, this is my other business. So this will be based in Singapore. I might eventually explore overseas in India as well for art therapy, but more for Card Atelier that I'm checking is that it's my first ever time doing anything overseas. So I'm a Singaporean. Where do I start? Is my first question. Like, what should I even be doing? I really have no head or tail. Second, as a Singaporean, do I need someone of Indian resident to kind of support me, like to be part of the business, to kind of even register it, or can it be registered in Singapore but ventured overseas? So I really have no idea. In fact, as you can see from my questions, I don't even know what to ask. And thirdly, are there any fees if I want to, let's say, engage Mr. Himanshu further, or your staff further, to kind of guide me and support me? Are there any fees for that? Because we are going to kickstart the discussion for this week actually, so the meeting is just in time. I'm looking for a partner to work with for this business. So yeah, I think it'll be good if I have some idea before I meet people.
Right. Oh, so I think thank you very much. You explained it very well.
Thank you.
And these are like typical questions any company, when they are looking for internal expansion, they ask. And especially when it comes to India being a large country, and people always talk, it's a little bit complicated to business in India. So everything starts from, again, there are different models. How much control would you like to have on in your India operation? So if you want a higher degree of control, it's always good to have either joint venture or your own entity. And there also the MRA grants. So I'm very much familiar with market readiness grant, and many of our clients from Singapore, especially SME, MSME, they are availing these grants. So again, the typical approach which they do, once they are sure in terms of their business plan. So that is the step one. What is your business plan? What is your business model? Once you're clear with it, either you can go through your joint venture or partner approach, where you have identified a partner. Then you can, with that partner, you can set up the own entity, Indian entity in India, or you can have your own 100% fully owned subsidiary in India. And then you can hire someone again using the grant, and you can take it ahead. Then that comes the next step, where you can always, go and focus on your core business activities. There are two aspects. Whenever, whether it's India, any other country, one is your business activities, one is your tax, regulatory, compliance, and others. So my advice is always that for initial time being, let's make the business a successful entity. You can always partner with third parties for your accounting, bookkeeping, payroll, and even logistic perspective. Whatever you can outsource for initial 1-2 years, which is not your core activities, you outsource it. And there also you will always get economy of scale. Otherwise, what happens, eventually you will always start paying more. And then focus on your core activities, which is again your fundamental of your business. If you are saying, for me, my business is to identify the right people who can help me creating these cards, focus on that and outsource these activities to third parties. There also, and then it will start evolving. So people, and I was keep saying that nothing succeeds success. So make whatever you're doing, make it successful in India. In India, when you're saying whenever companies are looking to enter India, they will say, okay, where I should set up my entity. Should I set up in North India? Should I set up in West India? Should I set up in South India? That again depends upon your business model. If you are talking about export, so are we talking about exporting physical cards? Are we talking about export of some services? If it is physical card, again it depends. Okay, which is, we are talking about Europe. So for Europe perspective, many companies, they set up their entity in West India, whether it's Gujarat or Maharashtra, because from here the cost of export is a little bit less. But considering your line of business, I'm not sure what is the logistic cost. So that we need to figure out. If it is not significant, you can always consider, let's say, South India, which is again, more, you may get a better talent. So we need to understand all these aspects and then take things ahead. As I said, from my personal experience, companies, what they are doing, again, using MRA, either they are identifying the right partner for them who can help them succeed in Indian market, or if they're very sure that, okay, I know someone who can work with my organization, setting up a wholly owned subsidiary in India, private limited entity, and take things ahead. So these are the possible two options. And definitely Singapore government is very like proactive in providing supports, and companies are taking this, step-by-step approach to become successful.
I have two questions. So you're saying that actually you'll be able to find suitable candidate to join venture with us. Is that what, did I hear that correct?
So again, don't jump. So I'm saying, okay, there are two options. Either you can have a partner in India, or you can have your own wholly owned subsidiary. Both has pros and cons. Why you need partner with where the other partner can bring some kind of expertise. That partner can add some value to a business. Either someone will say, okay, I know the Indian market, you don't worry about the operation, I will take care of operation. Or do you need a partner is the second question. If you say, okay, I will find a good manager who can work with me and then I will manage it, I will have better control. So what you want, the degree of control will decide whether you should go through partnership approach or through you should go through wholly subsidiary.
But either way, there'll be support. Is that right?
Pardon? Yeah, we can support. If you say, so I think this is step 2. Once we understand the business model, that okay, this is the right business model for you. For that business model, if we can identify a partner, that will always accelerate your or fast track your initial years. That is also a good option. Or if you are confident that okay, for me, I know everything. I just need a good manager who can take care of it. Wholly subsidiary is also an option. And companies do take both options, especially I'm talking about from Singapore perspective. Companies like SME, MSMEs, they are adopting both models.
These are really very useful because I'm getting to have some idea as to what I should settle before I even start asking for support or finding other directions. Another question I actually have is that, so you're saying that either start in Singapore and then venture out, or start an entity, the business in India itself. Personally, I was thinking that I would like to, because it's already a sole proprietorship here, so I was thinking of converting it to a business, like a company, before bringing it over to India. Are there any pros and cons? Is it better to actually start registration there in India or to be registered in Singapore and venture out?
My personal experience is that, okay, if you already have Indian entity, it's always good to have an Indian subsidiary. So tomorrow, what happened that even what I earlier mentioned that in the end, what is the whole motive of setting up an entity in India? At sooner or later, you want to extract that money, you want to repatriate that money out of India to any other jurisdiction. And in case if you're providing any sort of consulting, so you want to charge for that. So it's good to have, if the line of business is same, good to have a subsidiary in India and the parent entity could be in Singapore. And then, you can take ahead. Again, what I will also request Sikhi, Purnima ji and Pooja, in next session, we can invite some of our colleagues from tax team, because there is always a tax angle involved and they can provide their experience from tax perspective. What are the pros and cons? From my perspective, business perspective, it makes sense if you already went in India, put to an Indian subsidiary, and there are certain advantages of having it structured.
So when you mean by subsidiary means having a registered company there that's linked to the existing company here in Singapore, correct?
Yes. The parent company could be Singapore entity. In India, we can set up a private limited. There also, again, from a technicality perspective, you should have a 2 director. One should be a resident director in India. When I say resident director, the person should be in India for more than 182 days in a previous fiscal year. Even there are cases where companies, they don't have resident director. Service providers like us can provide that service to companies. Then there's no minimum paid up capital. You don't need to have a minimum paid up capital for your line of business. Still, it is always good to have the minimum operational working capital requirement. And you should have a physical office address. Like again, that is also not an issue. A company like us can provide that service to your company, or you can always have a co-working space like WeWork and all. So doing business in India, if you ask me, is not that complicated. It's a good market, growing market, opportunities in each sector and industry, lots of talent available. Important thing is the business model. If you are sure in terms of you have proper business model in place, rest of things are not that difficult or complicated.
Okay, one last question. Can I request, actually maybe not question, can I request for like details about your services so that we can then privately contact you for more on an official consultation basis? So that's one. And lastly, I have one question. This MRA is actually from Singapore, correct? So even if I were to open up, it's still part of this, correct? If I were to apply for this. And the application process what is the rough timeline that we're looking at? Like the application process to completing it to the reimbursement?
The one Rabbuli is really depends. Like once you already engage maybe Mr. Imanshu's consultancy firm to in terms of the incorporation there, right? So he would be definitely giving you certain quotations and the proposal, how long the whole setup would start. But I think I would assume that starting up a presence in India will not take that long. Mr. Imanshu, am I right to say so? Yeah, it's not that long. So once you have already, gotten the quotations and everything, just ensure you can always revert back to me or to any of our colleagues here, okay? And then from there, I will guide you through the MRA application, and the approval will take about 4 to 6 weeks at the time being, Pubi.
4 to 6 weeks. Approval.
Yes, correct. Yes. Then after that, you can actually, once the job has been completed, that means the presence has been already set up in India. Okay, just inform me, okay, Deepa, I've already done all the necessary payments and completed business already start up there. That's when your last step will come is to proceed on with your claims. Because once you get a letter of offer, you will know how much is being. So it's 80% of the qualifying cost, Pubi. Okay.
80%.
Yes, you're right. So what I would do, maybe later just share your email address in the chat group.
I've shared with Pooja.
Okay, sure. I'll get it from Pooja. I will share with you on how this MRA works and what are another thing that I'll share with you is what are the costs that's not being covered. It's always good to understand what are the costs that's not being covered. So at least you're prepared for it, right? So that's how the whole process. So MRA is pretty fast actually, Pubi.
Okay, great. This is very helpful and I need
Okay.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. All the best, and I make a move.
And before you leave, I just
Thank
want
you.
to tell
Bye.
you. So we have developed a small tool. So let me share my screen. Maybe in free time you can just go through it.
Okay.
So can you see my screen?
Yes.
I will share a web link with Pooja, and she can circulate to everyone. So it's a growyourbusiness.knavcpa.com. So it's nothing but a readiness, assessing the readiness of any specific company in terms of growing their business or India entry and the other modules. When you click on an India entry and fill your all details, it will take you to certain questions which you need to fill, and you will get again very quickly. If you allow me 30 seconds.
Sure.
Yeah.
So this is a free assessment.
Yeah, this is just free. It actually just cover your thought process in considering different areas, whether it's the tax, regulatory, market readiness, strategy, and all. And then we can also have a detailed discussion. So it's almost.
Imanshu, you can share the link in the chat box, maybe.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah. Uvi, I must say that your cards are very impressive. I just saw your website.
Thank you. I'm planning to make it a social enterprise to support women, single mothers, and having education center for the children of single mothers who are working to have combined lunchtime and stuff like that. So that's the idea.
Okay. All the best.
Thank you.
Uvi, I can put you on to more social entrepreneurs in India. If you're interested, you can discuss with them and see whether you can work together with them as well.
Amazing. Perfect. Thank you so much. I've put my email address there.
Uvi, you're in a hurry right now, or else I'm associated with a social organization called Magic Bus. So you Google Magic Bus. They are doing a wonderful job in India. So what we do is we impart skill-based training to the age of 12 to 17, and it's called Childhood to Livelihood programs. So you can always teach your
them as well.
A lot of NGOs within Singapore also, not just India. I mean, this is something which you're imparting your skills to somebody, make them, earn money also. So God bless you with your ventures.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Really appreciate all of you giving me space and time to go first.
And one is social enterprise, but I just saw your website. There is a dearth of such handmade, handcrafted cards because it comes into a luxury segment if you do it very well.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of scope in Singapore among hotels. You know, like today morning, one of my clients.
Even wedding planners.
Or wedding planners. So like I'm into events myself. So one had called me today for February 5th. Ritz-Carlton thing. So nowadays everything is e-card, right? I mean, everybody sends it through WhatsApp and are lazy to print cards and all.
Yeah.
There are certain segment of people who still feel that touch and feel, you know. So handcrafted cards are in the trend nowadays.
It's a dying tradition. So Card Atelier's mission is to revive the dying tradition.
So I think you should meet 2 or 3 of these, you know, high-end hotels in Singapore, like the Raffles Hotel, Ritz-Carlton.
Yeah.
Give them certain samples. So when they have clients, right, coming, they recommend you as a vendor or a preferred.
This was actually in my pipeline, but I was caught up with Solar's work. So I'm like, okay, I've got to slowly start building on this again if I'm on a venture. Solace is kind of stabilizing now a bit. So it's been quite...
He's Singaporean, right? You're getting grants to employ Singaporean students. Ask Deepa later on. You can go and meet her in Sikki.
Okay.
So you have to do everything. You will have to learn to delegate things.
Yeah, I know. I'm slowly trying. It's a bit
I know it is tough for an entrepreneur to delegate things.
Went through a hiring process. So maybe I'll get in touch with Deepa or Pooja, is it? I just did a hiring process, haven't finalized. So maybe I can also check out about the grant. And
yes,
yeah.
You can write into Pooja and Pooja will raise the questions to us. Okay, rest assured, we are more than happy to assist you.
Okay. Thank you so much, and I'm going to now. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Bhuvi, you can just see the link which Himanshu will share, and then do the diagnostic tool. Sorry, Himanshu, we cut you through while doing the diagnostic.
Sorry, you were doing something. Yeah.
Oh yes, I need to see this. Okay.
So nothing. So once you fill it, you get to know these different parameters where exactly you stand, whether in terms of market understanding, whether in terms of competition, your strategy perspective. So at least it will structure your thought process in terms of enter India market. So these are, and generally what we do for any company looking at any of our clients, we just ask them. It won't take more than 10-15 minutes.
This is amazing, and I will definitely need to do this first before I speak to anyone. This is great. This is great. Thank you so much. And this is on your website, correct?
Yeah, it's a grow your business knavcpa.com. It's a subdomain.
Okay.
But I'll just share it with Pooja and she can serve it with everyone.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Really, really appreciate it. I will definitely use this tool.
Yeah, great.
Okay. Bye. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much.
Bye. Himanshu, I just had one question to this director thing that you mentioned, right? The resident director has to be an Indian national. Only one is needed? Or
one is needed. One. Okay. So minimum is 2. One should be an Indian resident.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But again, I see it as a forum that whenever we are talking about internal expansion, you always have these small queries. And generally, this is my experience, your tax, regulatory, everything, okay, is in one category. Your business and model business plan is second. So if we are clear with our business understanding, what is our short-term plan, and India is again a growing economy.
Yeah.
Today we are at 3 trillion. In next 4 to 5 years, we are talking about to become 5 trillion. So much growth is going to happen across industry sectors. So there's a big opportunity for everyone. And there, once we, after having a clear understanding of business, we can always have a detailed discussion from tax regulatory perspective. Right? What should be the right tax structure? What are the issues from regulatory perspective? And we can always have this forum as we can have a maybe monthly discussion. I can leave it to Sikki, Purnima ji, and take these things ahead.
Also, one last question. If you have an OCI, you're an overseas citizen of India, what do you still need a director who's a local Indian on the company?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. We would need, even though the director is having an OCI card, but we would need a person who is a resident of India during the last financial year. Okay. So that's the exact requirement.
Okay. That part I didn't know. Thanks for telling us.
I have a question here from one of the members who couldn't attend. I'm not sure whether this question is relevant because it doesn't seem to be like go to business strategy, but just let us know if you guys handle such things. This particular company is an online grocery store, which is nowadays trending, right? Like your Red Marts.
My India.
Yeah, it's a typical Indian grocery thing, doing very well since last 1 year. Registered in Singapore. Of course, because if it is catering to the Indian diaspora or the local Indians, everything related to Indian products, whether it is vegetables, fruits, and grocery. Now, the company strategy is like, okay, in 3 years' time, we want to reach to, we want to exit. So nowadays, that's the game, right? I mean, something new idea strikes you, it becomes popular, you get your database of huge customer base, your SKUs are more than 10,000, you're doing really well. But then Singapore being a small market, right? How much can you expand? Because you have your local NTUCs and, Sheng Siong of the world also having a huge market. And then again, you're catering to not even the full population. Out of that, you're catering to that smaller population of only Indians buying from your website, right? So there will be a certain, whether you call it stagnant or so, this particular company's strategy, they're quite, very strong in their logistic procurement and very old school kind of, like a Mustafa kind of thing you can take. But they have stopped all their brick and mortar thing and become online. And at the moment, they're having around 7,000 to 8,000 customers with around 10,000-15,000 products from India, right from your frozen to everything. So the question now is, do you work with such clients, handhold them? Because see, they're all experts in their business, but to work backwards, like, okay, after 3 years, in 3 years, we take you to a point, say in December 2025, your valuation will be so much and you will be sold for 50 million, or 100 million, whatever it is. So do you do those kind of investment? They don't need investments right now, but at a particular point, they want to exit and sell it. So do you do those kind of services?
Yes, we do it. So we call it this value creation. So what happened that what you're talking about today, the value of any company is 100, assuming. Now we are talking about whether it's exit or they want to make money, or maybe they would like certain partners to join their business. So what additional value you can create in next 2 to 3 years? So if that 100 will become 500, certainly you can either you can exit, you can invite some other partners, but you will make money. And it's more of how you can use the current base as a where you're saying they are already very good in logistics, they already have a strong supply chain vendor network, but they want to take the business to next step. So we do advise companies. We have many Indian clients, and we also help them, not like in this case they would like to exit, but many times companies would require this service to raise funds. So I said, okay, if they raise one at 100 valuation, maybe they will get X amount, but at the 500 valuation, we'll get 5X. So how you can make that 100 to 500? So we do support such companies. Would be more than happy, Purnima ji, whenever coming days to discuss things in detail with your client or member.
Yeah, actually, I'm just giving them advisory on certain marketing strategies. Right. So I wanted them to be prepared for the future 3 years rather than take one step by one step.
It's a valid thing, and it happens not on many times companies who are looking to exit in next 2 to 3 years, especially companies which are also looking for any kind of joint venture or getting acquired by any firm. They would require everything to be clean. So take an example, we do help companies on transaction advisory support. So whether it's a due diligence, your commercial, your financial, your valuation and all. There, from client perspective, we'll say, okay, how you can clean your things in advance so that you get a better valuation. So, and make them ready for that particular deal. So these are services being offered along with our other service teams. But yeah.
Good to know. Yeah, I'll get in touch with you separately for that. Now, other question is, okay, do you help to register IPs in India?
So we don't have a legal team, but we do have a partnership with some certain law firms who provide this IP support registration. So being you can say being a business and financial advisors, we don't have in-house intellectual property registration team, but we'd be more than happy to connect some of network partners like law firms who can help. Any specific industry we are talking about?
Yeah, this is again not the grocery thing, but this is something to do with e-commerce.
Okay. E-commerce IP, what kind of IP?
It's like your Amazon or your Alibaba kind of thing. So the portal name is very unique. So we wanted to create an IP so that nobody uses that same portal name.
Okay, that I think again there are certain already
in Singapore I know we have IPOS, but then it's all geography based. So if
Purnima, there are two things. If you want to register your website, you can go to GoDaddy or whatever and register the portal. Yeah, then nobody will take it. And the other thing is, if you want for IP in India also, I can put you on to the person who's filing our IP in India.
Great. Because this was something which you wanted to use it for.
It will be a name registration, no? It will be like a trademark.
Yeah, like a trademark, right? Yeah. I said IP was because we were going to use that term even for our physical events. Like
IP is not given for those. IP is not given for a name or a brand. IP is given for an innovation or a design that has made a big change in the world, kind of a thing. So this is a trademark. You'll have to trademark your, like you trademark a logos, right? We trademark our logos. You need to trademark the logo or your
nobody can then use that, right?
Yes. Correct. It has to be registered trademark.
Okay. But what if, example, we created that for an event, but we saw that there is a similar, some telecom, company in India selling SIM cards or something under that same name. So will that?
Yes, you have to check whether those guys have trademarked it or not to be able to use it.
Those guys have not trademarked it for sure.
Then you can.
Okay. And also last question, Himanshu, from my side is, do you all help raising funds for clients? Like if somebody has a pitch deck, then you all work as advisory for that particular startup companies?
Yes, we do support. We have a dedicated investment banking team to take care of fundraising. We have supported many clients, even companies like Savan today, which is a part of Jio. So we are very, I would say, active investment banking team, focusing on startup, fast-growing startups, as well as I said, currently we are working with one large multinational for almost raising funds. So that
is with large multinational and all those Series A, B, they're very comfortable already.
Yeah. But we do have. I got your point. Yes. Also, so we do help. We are every month at least. We get. We just go through good number of proposals and follow a structured approach. Once we commit that yes, this is something which we can help you raise funds, we put 100% effort.
So, I mean, if you don't mind, do you all have like fixed charges or it is percentage on closures? How does it work?
It goes through both model, fixed charges, because there are certain efforts required for preparing your information memorandum, your the other things, and later on it could be on a success fee basis. But as I said, if everything is being done from our side, the role is just to find a investor. The fixed fee could be very low, less.
Do you all also work? I mean, of course, you're in India, so just recently somebody had approached me. Maybe I can give your contact or your email to them. They are into agriculture, so it's a big Hyderabad-based, very good set of people. They've got this grants, I think, from Niti Aayog and all that. They've come with something very innovative product, like your vending machine, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you get your plants and things from vending machine. So they now try to create a prototype, and it's a beautiful product. I mean, which I mean, nobody has thought, right? You can put some coins and get a tulsi plant, or you so it's a beautiful machine which can be like, kept in buildings or malls. And
right.
So they're now trying to create prototype and get, pre-seed capital and those kind of things.
Right. So please, maybe you can share my connect. And we can always have this discussion wherever you find an opportunity. Being a firm, as I said, we have a business, we have a tax regulatory verticals. So anything can be like which falls under these purview, we support. From legal perspective, we have a good relationship with law firms. Even in one of the law firms, we also have a kind of joint venture. So that is also being taken care of. But yeah.
Sure. Nice talking to you. I think I asked most of the questions.
That is very helpful. Thank you.
I don't see anybody else. Mr. Hari Krishnan, do you have any questions? I don't know whether it's...
I think so. It's not here.
Yeah. Milinji, any question you have?
Oh, no, I'm fine. Perfect.
So, Pooja, anybody else? No, right?
No.
All good to go. Yeah. We'll do share the link that, the link that you shared about, we would like to see that, and we'll keep in touch. Yeah.
I will do it. Or maybe I'll just share it right now. But I see it's a good forum as a community. So if anyone has any questions, please feel free to reach us. Maybe in next coming session, we can also invite some of our colleagues from tax team, and they can share more from tax and regulatory perspective.
Yeah, I think, Pooja, we also have to be a little innovative where, I think the members don't understand the importance of coming and attending the webinar. So maybe it was a very eye-opener when we showed the market readiness website, that link which you just showed the slide. So I think we should combine that, that the grants, Singapore SME Center and the go-to-market India strategy. Maybe in Jan, we can have a bigger audience, but I think a smaller audience is good enough, but at least 10 to 15 people kind of thing.
Yeah, I've shared the link there at the chat box. Yeah, you can access it.
Okay. Thank you so much, Himanshu, for your time. Thank you, Rajiji, Milind.
Thank you.
Write into me, and then I'll connect everybody to Himanshu if you have more questions. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. Thank you, Himanshu.
Bye.
Thank you, Purnima. Thank you, Bye-bye.